How's it going, you guys? It is a really nice overcast day, so it's a perfect day for filming. It is a few days after fall has officially started. I am mic'd up so that way audio is nice and clear for you guys, and we are gonna film a garden tour. I'm excited, but also a little nervous for this one. I haven't filmed a garden tour in the last few months just because I have not been super ecstatic with the way that the garden has looked. So now that we've gotten rid of the flower field in the back, which you guys will see in just a minute, I'm a lot happier with how everything's looking. So we're gonna start up here in the front yard, which I haven't updated you guys on in a very long time. So up here, everything is actually looking really, really nice right now, except for by the window over there, which we'll get to in a second too, has powdery mildew and spider mites, and all of that's gonna come out here very soon. So first thing is I have two arborvitaes flanking this arbor that we built, and then I have, these are the wave petunias. They have been okay performers, not amazing performers. This is actually the best that they've looked now that we've started to cool down. They did not do that well when we were hitting over 100 degrees. We got very few buds from them. So now that it's starting to cool down, they've actually just put out this flush in the last couple days. So I'm a little more excited with how the front looks because of that. I have some cosmos over here. These ones actually were started way before the ones in front of the window, and they're much slower growing, but they don't have powdery mildew or spider mites. So we're gonna take it as a win. Coming down this way over here, this is our butterfly bush that just got an absolutely massive chop. This thing was, I don't know, 8 feet tall maybe, and we cut it down to 4 feet tall. And it's actually really funny because it is already pushing out new blooms. It needed it. Butterfly bushes bloom on new wood, so we're totally fine, and we still have plenty enough time in our growing season for this thing to continue to rebound. Down below, I do have a couple super petunias. I'm not sure which ones they are. This one I think has been attacked by a gopher because all of the foliage is starting to die back on it, and so we'll see how long it lasts. And then down here, I have a loropetalum. This is Jazz Hands. This one is by Janie. She gave it to me, I think for my birthday in April, and I didn't plant it until very recently, but it has put on a ton of new growth. And then right here, this is the Vertigo pennisetum, and while I'm happy with it, I remember a couple years ago, it got like this tall. So it should be much, much bigger by now, but it is not. So it's okay, it still looks really nice. I'm very happy having it up here. I loved having it up here. We've done it 3 years in a row now, having one of these Vertigo pennisetums. So let's go inside and I'll give you guys a quick glimpse at the front porch really quick. You guys just saw me do that last week. So if we come in here, you guys can see front porch is totally done, and it's actually looking really, really nice now, especially with the addition of the twinkle lights. This is pretty early in the morning. It's like 9 o'clock right now, and the twinkle lights you can still see for most of the day actually. Really happy with it. I've got a couple of the, what are these, forsythia right here, and these are actually gonna end up coming out this fall time. While I love forsythia, I just don't have the space for something that's green most of the year, and these are pretty airy. I would like something that looks nicer and has more blooms for most of the year. So these are gonna come out. I'm a little bit sad about it, but if I had all the space in the world, I would definitely keep them. Let's go this way now. This has been a wonderful experiment, and it would be really nice if it didn't have powdery mildew or spider mites on it. I would have loved to have kept this. We've got the sunflowers and the cosmos. You guys can see there are tons of blooms here. There's tons of buds, but the powdery mildew is really, really bad. I was waiting for this sunflower right here to bloom, and all of a sudden it just shot out a whole bunch of heads, and it is so incredibly beautiful. I'm really happy with it. And it hurts my heart to have to pull all of this, but I don't want to keep the powdery mildew, and I don't want to keep the spider mites for sure. So it's really pretty. Like, look at some of these cosmos. Look at this one. These ones that have the edging like this are really, really pretty. Oh look, I just noticed this too. These are all aphids. So there is a lot of disease and a lot of pest pressure going on in this bed, so it's gotta go. Oh look, another sunflower. This one just opened up too. Okay, we're gonna head to the side yard now. This has been our oldest flower beds that we have on the property. um, but our least established, I feel like. So we're trying to work on that. So coming through here, we built the fence, we put these lights in. These lights are actually 100 years old. Our house is 100 years old. So everything that we do, we try to like tie in that element of it. So we're gonna come through the side gates, and we have Freya here always. Come on, let's go. This way. Let's go. Come on. Go. Get your toy. So if we come back this way, first thing that we're greeted by is this beautiful redbud tree. This is a forest pansy, I believe, and this is 2 years old. When I bought it, it was just sticks, and it's been blooming. You can see these are the seed pods right here, which is where the blooms all come from. So it's bloomed the last few years for us quite nicely. I do need to come in and clean all of that up so I don't get little seedlings popping up everywhere. Over on this side here, this is a rose. I still need to move this. I talked about moving it quite a while ago. This is Abraham Lincoln, and it gets beautiful, classy red roses on very long stems. This is one that's really good for cutting and using roses and flower arrangements. I've loved it, but when I planted it, I wasn't even thinking, and I put it right in front of the outlet and our sprinklers. So you can't even get to those without stabbing yourself. Right here, this is a clematis, and I cannot remember the name of it. If I remember it, I will pop it up on the screen. Janie had one of these, and the smell that comes off of this is sensational. It is so amazing. So I've got it growing up this trellis here, and then we also have it growing. It's starting to grow across these wired lights, which I wouldn't mind if it kind of took over it and it made this feel like a canopy. I think that that would be really, really pretty. Over in this bed, we just kind of have a menagerie of plants. And then this guy I just put up here last night. This was sitting on our front porch, or on our back porch. And this is Creeping Jenny, and it is one of my favorite things to use in the garden. I use it as ground cover most of the time, but I have this hanging basket, and so I just put it in there, attached it to the tree, and I think it's so pretty. So I'm going to do this next year for sure. Creeping Jenny actually does really well in zone 9, and this will probably winter over for me, no problem. Actually, it wintered over last year, so I know it'll winter over this year. So we're going to keep coming down this way. This window basket right here, this whole thing is going to come out here very soon, and I'm going to replace it with a larger window basket. The one that's under here is super tiny compared to the plants. So I need to get one that's more appropriate for the actual window size. But everything in here is done really well this year. But I can see that, you know, coleus are starting to fizzle out. The diachondra is starting to fizzle out. The sweet potato vine is doing its thing. It's loving its life. I mean, we have trimmed on this thing, and these leaves are just massive. So keep coming this way. We just finished most of the fence on this side. This has been a huge project to get our fence black. It is the Bear paint and stain in, I think, charcoal color or something like that. I'll pop the name up on the screen if I'm wrong, which I'm very often wrong. But this has changed the way that the garden feels, painting our fence black like this. Very slow, very long project. Worth all of the time, though. Definitely worth it. We're going to keep coming down this way. I have 2 rolled rim terracotta pots. In this one I have a magnolia, and in this one I have a lemon tree, and then I've just kind of underplanted this one with some diachondra, and this one has been underplanted with some moss. This is where we hang out pretty much every single night, and most of the day. This is our gazebo. We have a little fan and a TV in here, and I've tried to start to disguise it by growing some morning glories up the sides of it, and it has been so pretty. This morning glory, this is called Chocolate, and it is so, so beautiful, and the blooms are huge compared to normal morning glories. And morning glories are not invasive. It's not bindweed like you would normally think. This is just a morning glory, so I have a whole video on that. Very different plant. This isn't going to take over my entire garden. We've grown these for, I think, 4 years now, ever since we got on this property. And I just kind of place them around the property, but it's starting to grow over and all along the front of it. I would love if by the end of the growing season it kind of takes over even more. It's so beautiful. It kind of disguises this giant metal and fabric structure. Let's go this way now. So quick glimpse over on this wall. This is my fern wall. This area is in full shade all of the day, except for just about an hour at the end of the day. And I have a whole bunch of different ferns. I have some autumn joy ferns in here, which you can see they're starting to get some of their red color, their orange color, and it is so pretty. So this thing will be like a fiery orange this fall. Right here, this is a lady in red fern, and you can see that the stems on it are a red color. It's a really, really pretty fern, kind of a more delicate fern. So this one's in a container. And then down here, I have the Kimberly Queen sword fern, and this is such a hardy fern. I have it in 4 different spots on the property now, and it's phenomenal. I actually use it all the time in floral arrangements. Beautiful fern. And this is another of the autumn brilliance fern. This is one that gets the most sun, and you can see it's not too happy about getting any sun. There's lots of burned leaves on it. So right here, elephant ear. This is a black one, and if it was getting more shade, it would be an even darker color. This one is about 3 years old. The first year we planted it, the leaves on it were this tall. It was huge, absolutely massive. Coming down this way, this area I'm not super proud of, but it's looking better now that we are starting to cool down. Most plants struggle pretty hard when we hit 112 degrees. Now that we are in the like high 70s, low 80s, things are looking a lot better. This is the Wicked Witch Coleus by Proven Winners. One of my favorite Coleuses, hands down. The name is fun, and the like ruffled edges with the chartreuse green on it, super beautiful. I've got it next to my raven statuary. I thought that that was kind of perfect, the Wicked Witch with the raven. And then down here I have a hydrangea. This is Glacier Bay by Monrovia, and I love the black stems on it. They are very, very black. And it's a lace cap type, so it doesn't do that well in our growing zone. I think it's the zones up to 8. I'm a 9, and it gets a little bit too much sun just right here in this front area in the middle of the day. So this outer edge of it just kind of burns just a little bit. We're gonna do a quick glimpse to the side yard. There's not a whole lot to update you guys on about this. This is just our espalier wall right here. It's looking really, really good. It has filled out a ton. This has been a huge game changer on the fence, and this gets full sun for most of the day, and when it's not getting sun, it gets the reflection from the house, so it's just grown really quick. This is 1 year's growth, not even a year's growth. This is since the beginning of this year's growth, so extremely fast, and I have honeysuckle growing on this. And then right here, this is a voluntary Love Lies Bleeding amaranth. I grew Love Lies Bleeding here last year, and there's I think 5 of them down there, or 4 of them. It is so beautiful. I almost pulled it, and I'm so glad that I didn't pull it. It is so pretty, and the tassels on it, you guys see, they are so long. Magical, magical plant. I love amaranth. We're going to come down this way. This is the silver lining rose. This is my favorite rose that we own. It is in tree form, and when we planted it, the fence wasn't here. The fence was actually about another foot back. So there was room, and then we put the fence in, and it's like right up against it. I should move it, but I can't risk damaging the rose when it's pretty happy here. This is our 5th flush of blooms this year off of this thing. So it's a performer. It's a beautiful rose. We're gonna come down this way. A lot of stuff in here has been pulled. Things just kind of started getting really, really tired at the end of the season. So there's not a whole lot in here. The lavender looks good with the little bunny. This is a white alder tree, and this is a fast growing tree. If you need something that is going to fill out and give you shade like within a year or 2, this is it. This one is 2 years old. I fit it in my car. I have a little CRV, and when I bought it, it was maybe, I don't know, 8 feet tall, and now we're at about 20 feet tall on this thing. It's amazing. It is so beautiful. I love the leaf structure on it. I love this tree. This is one of my favorite trees on the property, and I think it gets a 50-foot spread by, what is it, 60 feet tall, something like that. It's a big tree. I measured it out from the center, so that way the branches would like almost get to the house. So we're set where it's at. Coming down this way, this is our aviary. We built this. This used to be our chicken coop, And then we built the roof on it. We actually built the roof on the ground, and then we lifted it up, just the two of us getting it up here. That was quite comical. Almost ended in a divorce, as most projects that are big do. But really, really love this thing. It is about 13 feet tall, so it's a big size aviary. We have finch in there. They stay in there year round, and they're terrible mothers. They have babies and then they just throw the eggs out. So we just let them do their thing, but they're good year round. We don't get too cold, so they're not stressed by the wintertime, and during the summertime, if it gets too hot, we will throw ice cubes inside of their water bowl. We do grow wisteria over it, and wisteria in California does not do what it does for most of you guys. So I know a lot of you guys are gonna say, oh my gosh, it's gonna take over, it's gonna climb the tree, it's gonna be so invasive. This one is, we've been here for 4 years, and we had it 2 years before that. So it is 6 years old, and we maybe get 4 blooms off of it in a year, and this is how big it is. So nope, not invasive here in California. My mom lives in Texas, and when I go visit her, I see it all over the power lines, all over the trees, so I get it. But California, we're good here, we're good. We're gonna keep coming down this way, and right here, I have a window basket on this side of the aviary. This is the Sweetheart Caroline sweet potato vine, and this one has been so pretty. This, I believe, is new for next year by Proven Winners. I was able to get my hands on it, and it has grown all the way to the ground. I haven't trimmed on it. It's been a perfect little grower, really pretty color. The new leaves come out this green, and then they very quickly change to this color. This is in a very full shade area, and then we also have some of the Kimberly Queen sword ferns right tucked in there. Perfect, perfect little window basket. This is a rose. I don't know who she is. We pulled her out of a trash can, but she is pretty. So she's here in this little container that we have going on. And then next to that, we have the espaliered apple. This has been a project that I've been working on for probably, oh my gosh, 4 years now. Espalier is so slow, but it is so worth it. And I plan on tying even more espalier into the garden next year. I would like to do a whole bunch of apple trees espaliered along the whole fence. A lot of this is gonna go. There's gonna be big changes in the garden for next year, and I cannot wait for that. So below that though, we have Creeping Jenny as a ground cover. You guys can see that it just like fills out here. It takes over. We actually come in with, I believe Brent used the weed eater or trimmers, and we just edge along the sides of it because there's bricks underneath there. But it's such a good ground cover, so we just let it do its thing. We have some helichrysum right here. Really pretty plant, but it is starting to get taken over by the Creeping Jenny. And in the fall time, the Creeping Jenny will actually turn a like reddish coppery color. It's really, really pretty. Coming down here, I have a Rose of Sharon. This is gonna get pulled out this year. We'll get a flush of blooms, and then we get absolutely nothing. And a lot of the leaves the last couple years have just done really weird things. It's not a variegated one. This is just what it's doing. I don't know. The leaves are all supposed to be like a solid green color. The blooms are really pretty, but I haven't been happy with this. So this is gonna get pulled out. It's gotta go. I'm not keeping anything that I'm not absolutely in love with in my garden. I don't think it's worth it. We have a lot of space, but I'm calling it limited space because I want every plant that's here to perform and bring me a lot of joy. If it's stressing me out and it's causing problems, it's gotta go. So this is one that's gonna go. I think it's already been claimed by one of our neighbors. She's gonna try. This right here is called an orchid rock rose, and the blooms on it are really pretty in the springtime. The blooms only last 1 day and then they die, but it constantly pushes out new blooms all spring long. And then it's just kind of this green plant, and it's kind of sticky. So if I had somewhere that I could just tuck it back and I had like a flower bed, honestly, if we had like, you know, a couple acres, I would definitely have this. It's worth it in the springtime for the show that it puts out. But the rest of the year, it's just this green blob, and it's sticky, and it's right next to a walkway. So it's not worth it for me to keep it. It's probably gonna go. Coming back down this way, this is where we start to have a problem. The tree up above is infested with aphids really, really badly. And pretty much from this point on right here, everything is covered in honeydew, which is what aphids secrete. It's their sap. and it's very sticky, and it is very gross, and it kills plants. So you guys can see right here, this is some of the honeydew. This is what it's done. It's really bad for plants. We're working on taking care of it, but it's a very slow process. So I have a rose right here. I transplanted it this springtime, but I'm gonna have to move it again. This is not one that I want to die. This is the Queen of Sweden. You can see these are supposed to be green, and it's almost black. So it's gotta go. It's gotta get moved. I'm gonna move it over to the other side of the property where it won't get nearly as much sun, but I think that will be fine because it'll be able to perform way better without being like suffocated. I have a hibiscus here. This is one of the ones by Proven Winners. It gets huge blooms, like size of the head. It's really pretty, but everything in this section right here has really suffered. So we didn't get nearly as many blooms this year as we did the first year that we planted it. And I do believe that's because of all the honeydew. I'm gonna skip through most of this bed just because it's all suffering. I've got peonies, hydrangeas, some euphorbia in there. This is a viburnum, a snowball viburnum. This is also gonna get pulled. We have another one on the property that I actually get blooms from. This one suffers also. This is a pittosporum, and I love this plant. I would love to grow even more of these on the property. They have black stems with these shiny green leaves. It is also being taken over by the aphids. We are going to, this year, continue to spray the aphids out of this tree, and we're going to be more proactive on taking care of the aphids. It is our neighbor's tree, but they said that we can do whatever we need to do because I told them that it's ruining our garden and it's ruining our willow tree. So things in this bed should be better by next year because I will be way more proactive. This right here is the star of the show, the whole entire property. This is our weeping willow tree, and it is 4 years old. It is so beautiful. It's so magical. We did have to give it a chop, but you guys can see it is all starting to grow back. This thing grows back so fast. We gave it a chop because you couldn't even walk under it, and we had the field of flowers in here, which if you haven't seen that, you'll have to go check out some of the other videos. But this whole lawn area right here was nothing but flowers. We've got grass starting to finally come back in here. And this is going to be lawn for the rest of the season and probably into most of the next season, but we are planning to totally change it up and do some more flower beds and some meandering pathways in here. There is a lot coming in though. All of the zinnias ended up dropping seeds, so there are zinnia seedlings throughout this entire field, through the entire lawn. It's kind of crazy. There are hundreds of zinnias coming up in this lawn, but that's okay because they will end up getting mowed and they'll die, so that's all right. So I think we're going to come back this way really quickly. So you guys just saw these planters right here. They were actually in the front of the house, but they looked too good for me to pull, so I just moved them back here, and I think it's fine. I think it looks really good. It's kind of nice to have a little pop of color back here. We had some super petunias down below, but the chickens pulled them out of the ground completely. So that was kind of a bummer, but they're there. Next year I will need to do some more like shade plants because this willow tree has just filled in really, really strongly. Coming back this way, this is I call it a ground dahlia because I didn't stake it up when I should have staked it up. So now it's on the ground. Last year it was about 6.5 feet tall. This year it's about 6.5 feet long. So ground dahlia, it gets really pretty blooms. It is also covered in, this is the only bloom I'm seeing right now, but it's covered in, pincher bugs and caterpillars. So it's covered in poop also, so don't look too close. But the color is really pretty and the blooms are huge. This is actually a small bloom for it, but there's bugs. I'm gonna just toss that. Back here, we have some birch trees. We have our little pond. And then on both sides of this, we have roses. This is the Claire Austin climbing rose. She gets really pretty rose hips, and these will turn a really pretty color this fall time. I love rose hips so much. I'm leaving some of them for using in wintertime arrangements this year. I don't really have many other roses that do that. And then right here, this is some type of like English tea rose. I'm not sure the variety of it, but this thing pumps out blooms all year long. This thing is like nonstop. There's really, I mean, this is one branch right here, and there are 1, 2, 3. Look at, I mean, just this. There are 4 blooms right there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blooms there. There are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, there's a ton of blooms just from this one branch right here. So this thing just constantly pumps them out. It's been amazing. I wish I knew the name of it. Right here, this is our Morning Glory Arbor Arch. This is the other place that we grow them. This is the chocolate one. There's also another variety in there, but it looks like the chocolate one has completely taken over, which is okay because I prefer the chocolate one anyways. This is our vegetable garden, and there's not much going on right now. You guys have seen what we have planted. We'll just take a really quick look in here. You can see here are the blue ones right here. There's not a whole lot, but there are a few of them. They are a really pretty color. And I love seeing this mass from the front of the property. This year I didn't stake them up. Normally I can like reach all the way up and I can touch the top. This year I'm having to like duck to come in here. It's okay. I'm not going to stake it up. I'm going to say that I'm going to. I'm not going to. In here, you guys just saw these are all veggies in here. This is basically my lettuce bed. And then I've got a tomato plant right next to you guys there. And then if we come in this way really quickly, these are my beans, which have grown so incredibly fast, and cucumbers. We don't have much time left in the growing season. We have until pretty much the 1st of December for our first frost date. If that comes any sooner, I will actually cover these with a clear plastic and some hoops, and that way I can kind of extend our growing season and continue to be able to harvest beans and cucumbers. I would like to get some this year. I didn't grow any earlier. This is basil bed, tomatoes, and this right here is our berry bed. We still have flowers going, so we still have blooms coming, which means more berries coming, which is really exciting. This is like 3 different kinds in here, and I need to separate them. This is fall gold, and then 2 thornless varieties of a raspberry and a blackberry. I need to pull the thornless ones out and put them in their own containers. That way the fall gold can just kind of take this bed over. And this is the chicken coop right here. The girls just pretty much hang out all day right here watching everything that's going on. And they're really good egg layers. We get pretty much 5 eggs a day at this point right now, so it's really nice. And then I think we're gonna head out of the vegetable garden. Over on this side we have our compost that is gonna get pulled, and then it's all gonna be flower bed. We do compost, but I've never actually used any of the compost from it, so I would like to pull all of that out, use the compost, use it in my vegetable beds this year, and turn that into flower beds. Over here there's 2 birch trees. These are, I believe, river birch, and I bought them bare root, and they've grown so fast. I actually bought these ones way before I bought the ones that are next to the vegetable garden on the other side, and those ones have grown even faster. So I don't know, they're really pretty. I'm really happy that we have 4 birch trees on the property. This is a Vitex. If you have room for this thing, I think it gets 9 feet tall, 10 feet tall. If you have room for this, grow this. The smell is amazing, and this thing blooms from spring to fall, nonstop. These long little blooms, it smells delicious. The bees go crazy for it. It's kind of coming out pretty far into our like grassy area. It smells so good just touching it. It smells like a really soft minty smell, and it's just full of blooms. The smell is amazing. I love the smell. I had Janie over and she smelled it. She said she liked it. I don't know if she was just being nice, but she liked it. And beautiful performer. This thing gets huge, so make sure you have room for it. I think this fall I'm going to come in and give it a pretty big chop because, like I said, it's starting to come over and it's taking over. These are some coleus right here. These are by proven winners. I think these are like called Arizona Sunset or Sedona Sky or something like that. They're really pretty, a very vibrant red color, and they get a pretty good amount of sun. And they don't wilt in the middle of the day, which is really, really nice. I know most coleuses, they wilt in the middle of the day. These ones have been like doing great, and they still get a ton of sun. Coming back this way, this is one of my favorite things that I want to show you guys. I'm gonna have to find the tag. It used to be down here because I can never remember the name of it, but it's like a Saguaro cypress or something like that. And this has been so pretty. It is so big now. When I bought this thing, it was about this tall, and that was 2 years ago. And it looks like a saguaro cactus because it has these like arms that kind of come up. It has been an amazing performer, and it's really pretty. That's why I want to give the Vitex a big chop, so that way this thing can be showcased a little bit more. I'm really, really pleased with this. I thought it was going to be an incredibly slow grower. It has not been for an evergreen, for a cypress. If you have a little area that you need to tuck something in, tuck this guy in. It is so like interesting structure-wise, and it's a really pretty color. And then like the new green is this green color. The new growth is this green color, and then it's this like icy blue color. I don't think Brent likes icy blue color trees, but I love them. So this tree is one to add to your garden. Right here I have a burning bush, and most people don't like them. That's okay. I like them. They do really well in our growing zone, and they're not invasive for us. So she's gonna stay. Burning bush, I love it. She will get really, really pretty fall color. This thing will look like it's on fire. And then next to that I have mahogany splendor hibiscus. Amazing performer in the garden. If you can't grow Japanese maples because you have too much sun, grow this. Everyone thinks that this is Japanese maple of some sort. They are so, so pretty. I use them in flower arrangements all the time, and they're amazing. I did a whole flower arrangement of just these with a couple of the silver lining roses. One of my favorites, hands down. Grow this if you cannot grow Japanese maples, because this thing can take full sun. We grew it in the middle of our flower field. It can take a little bit more shade. It's huge. This is 3 plants, and I actually just grew them from cuttings. My local nursery does sell them. I think they sell them for like 10 bucks. It will die in the winter time though. So if you're wanting to winter it over, you're gonna need to take cuttings and grow them. They will root, they will grow cuttings, and then you can plant them out in the springtime, but they're not frost tolerant at all. So this will be something that you grow every single year if you end up wanting to grow something like this for like cut flowers. And I mean, they're just such pretty leaf structures, and they do get blooms. I have never seen them bloom outside, but when I was doing some cuttings for them last year and we were growing cuttings inside, one of the cuttings inside the house actually bloomed. I think I might still have the picture for that. If I do, I would love to show you guys that. They're the cutest little blooms. They're not big at all, but I've never seen them grow or bloom outside. So grow those if you can't grow Japanese maples. And then above that, I do have an ornamental plum tree. Somebody was saying that they're not good, but we grow them all over in California. Like, they're everywhere. It's ornamental. It's not going to drop anything. They do have a shorter life expectancy than most trees. I think it's like a 15-year life expectancy, maybe 20 years. So it's not long, but really, really pretty tree. My neighbor has 2 of them, and yeah, they're just grown kind of all over here. So they're really fun trees. This is my Japanese anemone. She has flopped. Not sure what's going on with that, but she has a lot of new growth coming up in the middle here, and all of her blooms have toppled over. She has never done this before. This is year 3 with her, and she's just acting up. I love Japanese anemones though, but she is just acting crazy. Normally her blooms stand nice and tall, very proud, very structurally sound. I use the leaves in flower arrangements, and then all fall long you get beautiful flowers, but this year they're on the ground. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. She might need a haircut. Coming down this way, this is a butterfly bush. This is also going to get a big hack. Probably the springtime we will do it. I actually see that she's setting seed, so we'll probably do that before she drops her seeds everywhere, because I don't want little butterfly bushes popping up all over the lawn. But she's going to get a really big hack, and we do let her get really tall. I like the height of it, and the blooms being like, I don't know, 10 feet up in the air. It's really fun having the blooms that tall, and it's a butterfly bush, so butterflies and bees go absolutely crazy for it. And it's got really pretty colors. It's this like bright purple color, and the throats of this one have like little dots of oranges. I don't know how well you guys will be able to see that on the camera, but it is really, really pretty. Over in this bed, This right here is a lemon cypress. A lot of people grow this during Christmas time. It's a really common houseplant during Christmas, but it is the zones, I believe, 9 and 10. And I love this tree. We have 2 of them on the property, and I would like to do more. They smell so good. They smell like lemony. Lemon cypress, beautiful tree, evergreen for us. In your guys' colder zones, sorry, it's not going to do well at all. But it is used at Christmas time all the time, and it's commonly used for like a house plant. But it gets pretty big. I think it's like 15 feet tall. So it's a whole tree. These are the Supertunia Vista silverberries that they were on top of the arbor. They have been transplanted here, and they are doing so beautifully. They're doing great. They almost died. I thought I killed them, and they have rebounded really, really quickly, actually, and have been giving us blooms nonstop. They actually just finished with the flush of blooms, and they're now sending out another flush of blooms right now. So they don't look as full as they have been looking in the last couple of weeks. Right back here is another one of my favorite coleuses. This is called Newly Noir, and this mixed with the Wicked Witch is phenomenal. Really, really pretty coleus. It's usually pretty late to bloom, which we are at the very end of the season, and these are the first blooms. I do normally come and just pop them off. I'm not a big fan of coleus blooms. They don't do anything for me. I would prefer just to see lushes of this like beautiful leaf structure and color, and I do cut on my coleus quite often, and I actually put them in flower arrangements. So all the time. And then right back here, this right here is a hops bush, and it is so much fun. It's so pretty. This thing in the fall time, all of the leaves turn this coppery color. It is an evergreen. It is for higher zones only though, but this whole thing will be this coppery orange red color, and it gets so pretty in the fall. And then in the springtime, everything turns back to green. So it's an evergreen for us in warmer zones. Really, really pretty plant. If you're in a warmer zone, grow this one. Great for privacy. I would love to do like a hedge of this to give more privacy from some of the neighbors' houses. This right here has been a pretty big disappointment this year. This is called a tree dahlia. It is supposed to be like 12 to 15 feet tall, and it has stopped at about 6 feet tall. It stopped growing. This thing has been in the ground since the winter time, and it should be putting out tons of blooms by this time already, but we haven't gotten a single bloom off of it. And this is just kind of where it's at 6 feet tall for probably about 3 months now. It hasn't grown even an inch. So big disappointment. I was really looking forward to having this thing be full of blooms, and the blooms were so pretty. I'm going to pop a picture up of what those blooms look like because it was supposed to be magical. They look like little ballerina skirts. But here we are, lots of dead leaves, lots of crunchy crispiness, and it's stuck at 6 feet tall. So that's all right though. I'm gonna come out of this bed really quick though. And this whole side of our property, this entire length of bed, has been very, very neglected. You guys can see the row crops that we had of flowers. We had rows like this, and they went all the way up to here. I didn't give myself a walkway on this side because I thought, oh, I have a walkway on the other side. Not giving myself a walkway made it so that I could not access this bed. So all summer long until about a week ago, this entire flower bed has not been touched all year long. So there's been no maintenance on any of the plants in here. There's been no fertilizer given to any of these plants. They weren't given anything in the springtime. So everything has kind of had to survive on their own without me intervening at all. So that was kind of a problem, but I'm not like super proud of the garden right now, but things do look pretty nice. We're gonna come this way. One thing I am really proud of though is this rose climbing all over this flower bed. This rose has been amazing, and it has not been in the ground very long at all. This is called Soul Sister, and if you are wanting to add a rose that's going to give you blooms very, very quickly, Soul Sister is the rose. She has already given us 5 blooms, and there's a bud coming, and there's one in fully bloom, and you can see this one is starting to spend. They start out and they're this like fiery orange color, and then they fade to this peachy color, and then they turn almost white, and then they drop their blooms. Amazing rose. I need 10 of them. Some Dusty Miller right here. This Dusty Miller is about 3 years old, And it's got little yellow blooms on it. Super sweet. I do use the blooms in flower arrangements quite often, actually, and I use the Dusty Miller itself in flower arrangements all the time. I love Dusty Miller. I didn't know that it wintered over for us in higher zones. I knew that it was cold tolerant, but I didn't think that it would last 3 years. So I've been happy with that, and I've even dropped a tree branch on it and broke the whole middle out, and it's rebound. Back here I have a Pugster's Blue butterfly bush. Like I said, we love butterfly bush here. We have 1, 2, 3, I think we have 4 on the property in total. No, we have 3 because a mole or a gopher, one of the two, ended up killing one about a month ago. But this is the Pugster Blue. Let me pop this off so you guys can get a closer look. It is so vibrant. It is so pretty, and this one stays much shorter, and it's not invasive, so it's not going to drop seed. This is one by Proven Winners. Like I said, it's not going to drop seed all over your garden, so you're not going to have butterfly bushes popping everywhere. It's sterile, and it gets like good sized blooms. We are at the end of the season. Also, we accidentally turned water off to this flower bed, and a lot of things started to struggle for probably like 3 weeks before we even noticed. There was no water going to this whole bed, so a lot of things kind of struggled. But everything's coming back. Right back here, this tall thing is a Rose of Sharon. She has aphids right now. So we have been spraying her with neem oil, and it looks like it's starting to make a little bit of a comeback. Down below this is one of my favorite things that we have in the garden. I just picked up another one with Janie and planted it next to the aviary. This is Helen von Stein lamb's ear, and oh my gosh, if you want something that is a good ground cover that's going to just take over and be so interesting, and it's going to feel nice. It is such a soft plant. It's so nice to touch. Helen von Stein lamb's ear, huge leaves, and it grows like crazy. It spreads. We actually have some clean out drains right in the middle of it. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to stare at that. So I popped 3 of them around here about 2 years ago. Amazing plant. It was hard for me to find. I found them. It's worth it. Buy that plant, if anything. So I think that is going to be it. I'm going to climb out of this flower bed really quickly. Oh, also this right here, before I get out, this is the Beyond Pink to Bluebeard. This is also a Proven Winners plant. Oh my gosh. This has been planted just a few months, and the blooms on it are amazing. The bees go so crazy for it. It's been one of my favorites. I wouldn't mind doing quite a few of those in the garden. That's been a really pretty plant. So I think that is where we're going to end the garden tour. Everything here is looking good. We're making strides towards next year's plan, which I cannot wait to show you guys the plan for next year. I have 2 ideas. I'm not exactly sure which one I'm going to go for, but we have a couple of options. So I think that is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for coming along with the garden tour. Like I said, it's not exactly where I want the garden to be. Lots of changes have already happened, but we're making progress. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.